Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm very happy to have the chance to present to you all the work of Peter Morrens, an artist who I've known since a very long time, and who's going to talk tonight about his work and work process, and also about the exhibition which is running right now in the Warrande turnout. The exhibition is titled Minimum 1.5 Hour and Back Again, and Peter will talk more about it, but it's also referring to the exhibition architecture, which is in this, I think, for Peter in general, if I can speak for his work, very always present, I would say, the experience to walk, and I will give the word to him right now. Just very happy to see you all, and I would say,
okay,
trust.
Trust. Yeah, let's start with the trust. Thank you for the introduction. As in all my work, I never know where I'm going. I know maybe where I'm starting, and sometimes I know where I'm ending, but it's the same for lectures for me. So in a way, I don't like lectures, or I like them if I can play or toy around with the format. So I don't want to go to a kind of chronological order or what I did in the past and whatever. And I think it's good to start. And for me, it's important that there is an interaction. And I think that's the reason why Hannelore is also here, and we can have maybe questions, or from the public, of course, from the people there on the other side of the screen. I would love to hear some questions or whatever, but maybe it's good to start with an image. No, it's not what I want. Share screen, and now desktop. I think no, the photos unknown. Okay. So what Hannelore said is, I'm having at this moment an exhibition in de Warrande, minstens 1,5 uur en terug, so at least 1.5 hours and back. And of course, it's referring to time. It's also referring, I guess, to space. And this is one of the first images, the first works you see when you enter the space. I worked for the last 2 years on the exhibition, so it was a very long preparation. And I think it's every 5 years, every 10 years, I try to make a synthesis of the stuff I'm doing, because I'm working with a lot of different media and a lot of different names also, so heteronyme. And people know me for parts or something. So I think in a way I try to synthesize every couple of time the different stuff I made. What I did now was I think it's 10 years, almost 10 years ago, that I did it for the last time in Antwerp. And I had a great opportunity from the Warrande to build up this show, and they were really incredible, going all the way with every suggestion I did. It was really working as a team, and as a boutade, mostly I say, like in the studio you're alone, or I'm mostly alone in the studio. I don't work with assistants, or sometimes I work, but mostly I'm alone. But when you start building up the show, it becomes group sport. It becomes really a social thing, and I really love it, how to interact with people, assistants, but also technically, or people, graphic designer who make the book. And then it's coming for sure now with Corona. It was really coming out of my my cellar, and working for due to Corona, we had the opportunity to work for 10 weeks on the construction. So it's a long time. It's 10 with 6 assistants we worked on it, and they gave me totally the opportunity to rebuild the Warrande, which is normally, maybe some of you know, 2 floors, one without daylight, one with daylight. And I had the idea from the beginning, from the start already 2 years ago, to make a very strict parcours long before Corona. Was a weird coincidence that Corona came up, and suddenly a lot of the rules seems like what I planned. So there was a reference I wanted to make to Ger van Elk, a great Dutch artist who died a couple of years ago, and I really love his work. And he did in the 60s. There were, the young people don't know maybe, but there were iconic staircases in the Stedelijk Museum of Amsterdam. And he split the staircases in 2 sides, one to go up and one to come down. And he did it in a very shabby way, with a kind of canvas and with strange poles and ropes, so very shabby, not really on a sculptural way, in a sense, what he did at that time. And he said, for me, it's important that people who come to the show don't see the people who leave the show, which immediately struck me, which I really adored. And I thought, like, okay, let's build up a parcours where you got the strict circular formula. So this kept on going, and then Corona came, and I thought, like, if I do it like this, what I planned, people will think I'm really insisting on the idea of Corona and playing and toying around, which was not really the case. So I skipped some of the stuff, and but some of them I kept, because it was maybe more universal, maybe more open than only a reference to Corona. So the strict parcours was really great. I found also, it sounds strange, but I found also Corona great, because I had the isolation and I could work for a long period together with a beautiful crew there. So this is one of the first works. I made 9 rooms. I can walk with you. There's also a virtual tour on the website of the Warrande, but I find it too, it's nice, but it's too technical or something. I'm from generation. I started working in the 80s. I studied in, I graduated in 87. So I was very much informed by conceptual field and by people who worked at that moment, where my interest lies in an interaction between different media. I studied, I graduated with a performance I did together with Christoph Fink. And so this intermingling of different media and like trying to get a broader experience is a very important topic, I guess. And also here in the Warrande, I made like 9 rooms, which are all connected to each other, and who are connected not only physically through the space, but also through sound. So you got in every space, you got another sound, and it's working, I guess, in a very, how you call it, subliminal, and like more in an underlying, in a more unconscious level. It's not heavy sound, but it's like, it starts with the voice. Here you see oeuvre, and on the backside of this oeuvre, you hear the voice of Marguerite Duras. And she's reading a beautiful text, Les Mains Négatives, which deals with the idea of the caves, the first caves where first man left their traces, and the Les Mains Négatives, so negative hands, where immediately 35,000 years ago, the tool and the object and the work became one. So the tool of the hand was sprayed with pigment and left a negative form. So this triggers me incredibly because it's a tool and it's a work on the same time, or it's the imprint maybe of it. So it's maybe also the first. I think some of you study graphics, so for me it's really the first graphic which they made. Where Bataille writes about, we don't know why they do it. We had a lot of investigation in it, and Marguerite Duras writes really beautiful texts where she says, okay, this is only a cry from the first man or women. We don't know which sex it was. Probably the last investigation is that it were women, but we're not sure. So that's also totally okay that we're not sure about it. But it's the cry. It's the cry for look at me. I love you, she says. Je t'aime. And what you see in the film is a wandering in a taxi through nightly Paris. The film is from the 70s. So it's immediately a simultaneity between a film, a text who goes, who takes care of things from the past, combined with things from this present times. And I wanted to use it as a start, but not have it visible immediately. It's a little bit difficult to see it in the virtual tool. You can more see, I think, clearly, but you hear the voice coming from the wall, behind the wall. I cannot go further. Okay. Yeah, that's the other side. My slides are not. So this oeuvre, maybe I explain a little bit. I'm dealing a lot with language as a form itself. So the idea of things what I found objects where language is written above, and this oeuvre, and of course, I think it speaks for itself. It's like oeuvre. It's like an oeuvre which hesitates, an oeuvre which doubts a lot. And I think that's one of the topics we wanted to talk about. Is like doubt is, I think, the main motor of my work. I'm doubting about everything. I'm doubting also about what I'm saying now. I'm doubting about my surroundings. I'm doubting about my existential feelings I got. I'm doubting about all this stuff, and I'm always trying to trust my doubts and work with them. So maybe that's something where we can start working on, or for, I don't know, if it's.
I think let's talk about the doubt.
The doubt is always connected to trust. If you don't trust your doubt, you keep paralyzed. You are paralyzed. You're not. You will not get any further, I guess. So there's a straight connection between them, and the doubt for my part for this exhibition was, okay, I'm 56 now. I'm a lot of people know my work, but most of it in different parts. So it's some people know me from the language pieces I'm doing. Some people know me from the drawings, and I think, okay, I got a solo. I got the invitation to make a solo, which normally is a platform to present your, I don't know, like your ego, I guess, or which which is problematic. And what I didn't set, I had for 20 years, I had Voorkamer. It was an artist initiative in Lier, which I did together with Rick de Boel, the artistic part. So we were a duo. We decided on every decision we did together, but we had a big group of volunteers, and that's where I said the team spirit comes. So you cannot live without, or you cannot make work if you're not dealing with this social structure where people help you, where people clean, where people build up, where people drive to get pieces and everything. So we had for 20 years, we worked there, and we worked with, we counted it once, we worked with 960 artists, because when we finished 4 years ago, due to the cuts in the subsidy, we made a big party, and which was called The Last Show. So my love goes incredible to other artists, to artworks, to everything. What I am now is because I'm really addicted to art and cultural, maybe in a bigger sense. I think I had a lot of all my energy came from the art world, where I was wandering in and worked in the performative sector when I started after my graduation. But soon we came to Voorkamer because we wanted to work with other artists. Rick and me, we were really interested in what other people did and how to think about the work in the same time. So not only present it, we didn't want to have a gallery. We really wanted to have a artist initiative. It says we work together with artists who produces works and shows together with them. So that's very important difference, I think, with gallery or with the commercial driven world, and for sure the world of today, which sometimes makes me sad and sick and angry, this market driven vibe. So I think it was a very political statement we wanted to make. We want to work for other artists. We never showed our own work. After a couple of years, we showed our work, but in the beginning, it was really to work with other artists. To come back to the show in the Warrande, when I was invited to the solo show, I thought, okay, what shall I do? Shall I perform myself? Should I, how you said it, promote myself in this solo show? Or should I go to my love for a lot of other works, for historical works, for artists? And due my career, let's say, I always find it very strange to say career. It feels I'm only 20 or something, or 25, I don't know, but okay, I got already a career. After in my career, I collaborated a lot with other artists, because I think it's very important to not only have your own viewpoint, but to connect with other artists and to fast up collaborative works. So the decisions are going much faster. And that's what I like, to get a kind of equilibrium with my own work, which is sometimes fast, sometimes very slow. So the invitation came, and I had a couple of people who, from the gallery world, from the collector world, who said, I'm not sure if it's good if you will collaborate with other artists, because you got to promote yourself. And so I was doubting. Again, I was doubting. So I'm like, okay, should I do it? Should I? And then at a certain moment, I said to myself, oh, cut the crap. I just want to make a good exhibition, and that will be with other artists. It will be a solo with other artists. And then I end up with a list of 200 other artists, where, of course, the curator in the Warrande found that I was totally crazy. And so I yeah, I started shifting and making a lot of drawings. So I'm always working in this kind of books where I'm yeah, having all my texts and decisions and drawings and one after the other, really a working book, and started working with the idea of my favorite artists, and maybe more my favorite topics, let's say. So I think in a way art is always dealing with death, or with birth and death. There's not so much else to deal about, I guess. And so that's a very important part, and I love people who work with this idea. Sexuality is something which is maybe the driven force towards this or against this force of death. So that's also a very important thing. And then there's a lot of structural work and objects which got a lot to do with the sexual side, with a fetish side, not only in a sexual sense, but more in a sense like, I think that an artwork is, maybe every kind of artwork is a fetish, is in, let's say, in the African word idea where Freud talks about, it's like, it's matter, it's which is loaded with geest, I don't know how you said it, with spirits, yeah. And so this matter changes due to the spirit, and I really believe that this is this never changed. This is what we did 35,000 years ago, and this is still what we are doing now. So in this way, I really feel connected with the people who were there in the Dordogne, or in this sense, it's in the caves in the Atlantic coast, but also with a lot of people from the 80s, like Mike Kelly, and a lot of American. I was focused. It's strange now, you don't have so much focus to America anymore, but when I studied, I was really, I loved this scene also. Where I'm drifting apart, no?
No, we can look at the images.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But what is okay? Yeah. Yeah, an old work. Yeah, maybe first a little bit of. No, okay, I will go. So I made this cabinet of, I don't know if cabinet is the good word. It's cabinet in Dutch. In English is something else, I guess. So it's a kind of wonderkammer. You can say it. So it's one of the rooms I created there. I totally made like 9 new rooms connected to each other. Before, you had only walls in the Warrande. So I made now rooms to have like really a closed ID. And I covered this room with wood, with cheap triplex. And I choose to have it on after the work of the oeuvre. You got this room where other people's work is viewable. I wanted to have it really as a statement that you're not entering first my work, but you're entering through a gate where you see a lot of other people's work. And there on the right side, I don't have an arrow, I guess, you see an opening in the wall where I created another kind of closed room. You could not enter it, in a bluish gray color, where my okay, yeah, that's where you see. So it's really an opening in the window where you see this, and this is a series of drawings of examples of people I really adore, which were not in the show, which were not in the room next door. And I had, as I said, I had this list of 200 artists. And immediately I thought, yeah, this would be impossible, of course, to have them all in the show. So I started drawing the pieces I could not have in reality. And this is maybe this idea of the fetish also, of this idea of, okay, you cannot have it in reality, so I want to have them as a drawing. And the pieces are Vija Selmins, you see, Alighiero Boetti, Vito Acconci, Chris Marquer, Pierre Molinier. So a lot of artists who came up my path, I think, and I used the drawings. I didn't have the original works, of course, so I made drawings after the reproductions. Therefore, you see that there is sometimes the reminiscence to books or catalogs, which you see, and it's a important difference for me. I call it covers too. My first series of covers I made 5 years ago. And I really like this idea of covers in, let's call it simply in the rock and roll. I can get no satisfaction by the Rolling Stones played in the 80s by Devo, who made a totally wacko other version of it. But there's always a reminiscence to the original. And that's what I like. So there is something, a sound or a riff or a lyrics you hear which rings a bell. What is this? What is this? And I think there is this idea of covers. It's partly doing with copies, but it's not really copies. It's also all in black and white, or more in a kind of grayish. I'm using graphite and charcoal to have them. And there's also this white frames, which for me gives the, I found out later on, because I'm doing it already all my life, this strange boards. And I think I find out that for me, it's the reference to the original material where I'm working with. And it gives like a really heavy contrast to the drawing itself. So that's the covers. Yeah, a work which almost could be by me, but not by the name, the Cherokee Jimmy Durham. So it's a multiple also. I really like the idea of multiples. And for me, this is maybe the most politically action you can say. Behind these words is a piece of paper, behind the paper, a wall, behind the wall, the world. So there's always a connection with the world. I'm a realist. I'm working with the reality. I'm working with the politically, the society, with this reality, and I'm playing and toying around, I guess. Pieces by Mark de Blik on the left, which is a fetish in the tervuur, literally a fetish, but from Congo, but photographed, so you get a lot of the reflection. And he folds the photos, which gives it a very tactile thing. And I think that's important. That's maybe something what we didn't said. I'm talking maybe more about concepts, but for me, the most important thing, or maybe not the most important, but at least also important, is the sensuality of works. So the tastbaarheid, I don't know how you call that. The tactility, yeah. You want to touch the works. You also the drawings which you saw. Of course, we see it now in a very bad reproduction, but there is something tactile on it. Next to it is a piece by J.C.J. van der Heijden, a great artist from the Netherlands, who worked in the conceptual field and combined drawings, painting, and photographs. Yeah, that's the other side. So you see Bruce Nauman, you see Marcel Maria, you see also contemporary people like Patrick van Kakenberg. And I placed them next to the Fayum portraits, which for me are, after the caves, maybe one of the most important works, because I don't know if you know the Fayum portraits. They were made during the lifetime of a woman or a man, to be put on the coffins. So it's the late Egyptian area, the Roman area of the Egypt, and it was made with encaustic. So it's a painting with which is mixed with wax, and there's John Berger, who is one of my favorite writers, who wrote a beautiful thing on it. He said these drawings are made for during lifetime, but to serve that, to serve maybe not only that, but also eternity, because the painter portraits the one who will die, and later on it's put on the coffin and then buried. So there's a direct connection between life and death in this beautiful portraits, which for me looks as if you look at if you could take after this shit of the corona, you should go to Berlin, and there are beautiful portraits in a museum there. In a lot of places you get Fayum portraits, and they really look as if they are from now, as if I'm going on the street and I look at I don't know, I'm living in a colorful area here of Antwerp, and I see those people. So it literally makes a connection also with the things that you experience now. So for me, art is something living. It's something which you get to vitalize, or which gives me an energy which is way beyond that, let's say. That's heavy, no? That's the other side. Maybe I can go to other stuff. I was very glad to have the drawing, the big drawing you see in the back by Pierre Klosowski. Klosowski became known in the 80s, but was not that known. He was a philosopher and writer, and he was the brother of Balthus, which maybe you know. And he made very good drawings of crayon, of a color pencil, life size, and that's very important in the drawings. They're almost naive. He was not a very good draftsman, but it's great to see how we have this big perversity in his work, but due to the life size, you're really overwhelmed by the work, or I'm overwhelmed by it, because you see what to students mostly you said, don't do it, don't make a big drawing with a very small pencil, use a big pencil then, or if you paint and you paint a big painting, paint them with a big brush. He says fuck you. He's not saying a lot of fuck you to things, but he says, okay, I'm using this small pencil and I will cover the whole area with this pencil. And it's working with a double, le miroir révélateur. So it's very moralistic work also. It's a splitting image of a guy which you see on roller skates with underpants, and then in the mirror he's naked and he's touched by kind of bourgeois or maybe a priest. So it's a very mythological thing, which mostly is not my interest, but in this case I wanted to have him in the show. Next to it is what you see, the chair is important. It was one of the first pieces I asked, is Wouter Venema. And there's of course something heavy or weird. It's an office chair. It's his office chair, which he adapted to a tool which was made, which was used in the 50s for losing your equilibrium, and later on it was used for fighter pilots to train them when they are turned. So you can sit on it and turn, and then suddenly when it stops, you're blindfolded and your mind feels as if you're going straight forward. So it's a you said it, physical experiment which was used to discover how our brain and our perception works. Later on, it became a tool for fighter pilots. And then later on, 10 years ago, Wouter Venema made his version, a kind of DIY version, which I really love. It's just this office chair with simple steel tubes he transformed. For me, it's important. It was the first thing which I choose, I think, from the cabinet. It had to be in the middle, because it reminds me on the idea of 360 degrees turning, circular movements, which are a lot in the exhibition. Next to it, you see Frederik Geurts also with a work from a turnabout. So in the complete exhibition, there's a lot of circular movements. Also, the exhibition itself is circular. You go from one room to the other, and the title is also referring to it. So when I say and back, I'm not referring to really going back where you came from, but do another round. And I think then there starts other feelings. Maybe this leads us too far. No, it's I don't know what the time. I don't see the clock.
Half an hour.
Half an hour. Oh, okay. Maybe are there questions? Is that maybe a good thing? Is there somebody?
Somebody wants to interrupt, feel free to.
Because I cannot stop from talking. That's so.
Let the image guide you.
Yeah. Okay. The image is Hans Vredeman de Vries. It's from the Plantin Muretus, and he was an architect. And it's a great image where you see a room, which of course have a lot of likeness to the room where you're standing in, and you see a dead corpse, and you see somebody peeping, and somebody waving, and you see a lot of openings. So there I'm playing with the sensual idea of the openings in the window, has references to the, of course, to the graphic image there. Yeah, maybe that's. Then you go to another room, and there's the work by James Welling. It's from the collection of Smack, which I find it an amazing work. It's a video based on a film made in the 30s from the grandfather of, it's called Seascape. And the grandfather of James Welling was a painter. He drove in the 30s with his camera, with his amateur camera to the coast, filmed the coast in black and white. And later on, he made paintings after the film and after photographs he shot. And what Welling did is a great move, I think, a great connection also. Maybe that's something where we got to talk about the connections also. The connection is, he made connections to his family. He used all the paintings who were made by his grandfather from the seacoast. He digitalized it, and so he made all the different colors, and he made really a system how to get them out of the paintings. And then with digital animation, he put the colors in this black and white film. So what you see is a film which is colored by James Welling now. And it's strange, it gives the idea that you are looking at a color film. And then he asked, that's another connection which I really like, he asked his brother to make a soundtrack for it. And he's not really a musician, his brother. So he had a accordion, which is opened and which gives a very long tone, like a little bit for me reference to Pauline Oliveros, of people like from that age. And the sound guides you. It's like the sirene. It brings you into this room, and it guides you also to the next room, I guess. So that's the other what I was pointing at, the subliminal ideas of sound. That's the other room. Then you're entering in this room, which is the Passage, or I called it Passage. I gave names to all the different works. I don't know. Yeah, here you see it better. So it's a collaboration with Frederik Geurts. As I said, I asked artworks to artists or also dead artists. So I had it from collections, but I worked with 10 artists together also. And this was one of the collaborations where I'm like with every collaboration, I'm very happy, but I asked Frederick, I got already maybe for 15 years this idea to have a floating piece of paper in a room, and maybe the most simple way, a A4 which is floating, but I always thought it was a lot of technical stuff I needed, and I worked on it with some technicians, but it never came good. And then with this exhibition, I thought, okay, this is the idea. This is one of the ideas I really want to express. And with Frederick, I had a long friendship. And I asked him, like, okay, can you maybe think about this floating paper? And then he made this very simple, or it looks very simple. It's just a thread, iron thread with a piece of Japanese paper, but it's very complex because normally the weight of the paper, if you get the paper off, the thread is really in a bow. So it's a very precise work, and it's so fragile that everybody who comes inside this room, the paper starts moving, and it starts already moving when somebody enters 3 rooms before. So it's really a sensor for any kind of human appearance or human people who pass by. Therefore, I called it Passage, and we combined it with this drawing of me, which was made before Corona, but which looks also like a Corona. So it's a black square where you got an arrow surrounding it, and it says exit. It starts with exit and it ends with exit. So it's a kind of dead end. And I'm very keen of the work of Samuel Beckett, and I think there's some reference to this, but it worked together very well, I guess. And that's maybe a topic where we wanted to talk, the mistakes. This is really the silverish wall is by me, and it's a mistake. Frederick sent me his first examples of the paper he made, and he filmed it in his studio. And I sent him an SMS back, or I don't know, WhatsApp, and I said, this is great, and it looks so strange with a silvery wall behind it. Frederick said, oh, not at all a silver wall, it's just my studio wall. So there was, due to the light which I saw on the video, I saw this silver. But then we got this ping pong, and that's so nice with collaborations, that you start ping ponging. And he said, like, yeah, but maybe it could work, maybe it could be a silver backdrop. And so I decided to paint it, and to have for him, the collaborative work is, the piece of paper is never alone. It's also related, of course, to this big wall and to this drawing. And I think that's another connection where the exhibition is pointing at, or where all the time you get from point to point, from one work to another work. But I think I'm trying to give people a kind of platform where they can walk and look for the connections and feel them also, and hear them and smell them. So in a very sensual way, not only on an intellectual or not only on a cerebral way. Okay. There was one drawing on the left of 2 divers. That's a portrait from me with my friend in the Philippines, and it worked very good with the silverish. Maybe most of you, I don't know if you know my work, but I'm working with this. My drawings are always made with a mixture of graphite powder and charcoal powder. And so I really like this silverish, shiny glans, varnish, no, not varnish, yeah, glow, which is, yesterday I'm working with a book and somebody said, yeah, you're working with these black and white images. And so, no, I never work with black and white images. It's gray images, I think I'm working with. Sometimes it's coming close to black, but it's mostly gray, and they're very physically made. Wait, I'm looking. Yeah, that's a drawing also. They're the result of physical actions, and maybe you don't see it so good, and that's also okay, but it's really a heavy dance. I'm playing with my hands and with my fingers and brushes, and so they look maybe very accurate, very precise, and they are in parts, but they're very much a very physical reaction to the paper, and I really erase them. Sometimes they become almost dark gray. Started erasing them, scratching them, really hurting them. If they could talk, they would yell, I guess, because I'm yeah, Peter, don't do it, because I'm using long erasers also, where I make these kind of tools where I put them on and then yeah, have it as a kind of physical dance. I guess I don't have the stuff here. I'm not in my studio, so we're at home, but you're welcome to always look at it. Maybe we go through some images. Are there some questions?
We're 10 to 8.
Oh, wow, this is very, very fast. Onze tijd is kostbaar. Laten we dus liever wat van de uwe verspillen. Humor is, I guess, the most beautiful weapon against this yeah, darkness. Humor is een verheven vorm van wanhoop. Humor is a higher level, a higher, how you call it, higher form of wanhoop, desperateness, despair. Yeah, it's by Karel Valentin, which is a comic from the 20s and 30s, who was during Nazi time playing, and who really had a very political statement, but it was disguised as funny, stupid, clownesque things, but in a way it was very political. And this one is by Boris Vian, another guy, of course, who was in a way a kind of revolutionary singer-songwriter, writer. So I'm using a lot of language also from other people, things I hear mostly. Maybe I can go to the point blanks. I don't have here the shit. We'll take on the. I will maybe switch to the. Yeah. That's nice to show something not digital, or I like it. I don't know if you can see it.
On a smaller screen, but...
Yeah, okay. The first one is something which I posted on Instagram. I'm not on or I was not on Instagram. Somebody gave me an account, so I tried to deal with it. Maybe I can tell something about the point blanks. I don't know. A series which is viewable also in the Warrande, of 2,500 drawings, like this ones, or maybe I will take another. That's a literal slideshow. But then it's small, no?
Yeah, but we can just you can look.
That's funny. Ah, but it's in, of course, a mirror for you. No?
No?
No? Okay. Yeah, it's maybe a good one to finish. I consider them as drawings. I call them maybe text, but it's drawing. So there's no, there's a lot of mistakes. It's, I call the series Point Blank Press. What I didn't explain is, in the 80s, I was working in this field of performance and doing graphics. But later on, I worked with different heteronyms, so different names. And one of them was Point Blank Press. And point blank means when you kill somebody, direct to the skin, so not with air in between. So it's a very heavy loaded sentence where there's a lot of, it's used a lot in Bruce Springsteen wrote a song about it. He was shot point blank. So it's a heavy loaded begrip, word. A point blank press is maybe lowering it a little bit. So I called it Office for Immediate Language, Bureau voor Directe Taal. Because I was in the 90s and I was making a lot of drawings, but I always used language, and I thought like, okay, I want to really make a series of works which are only dealing with language. And point blank is, of course, direct, not censored, politically incorrect, sometimes very immoral, moralistic. So there's no code in it. I'm not filtering it. And I'm mostly of the time I'm hearing those things, so it's a reference to the things I heard, not to the things I read, of which is written, because I think that's already a form which is there. So the English got a very nice word for it, colloquial language, something like dagelijkse taal, something which people say to each other and is not written down. And maybe one of the hits or one of the things is ik zal eens goed komen lachen met uw expositie. I will come and take a good laugh with your exhibition. That's literally somebody who said it to me, who meant it in a very soft way, I think. So she meant like, okay, I think your work is humorous, but if you write it down, and if you write it down as I write it down in big letters and a kind of maybe punky DIY atmosphere, it becomes also very touchy. And that's this shift I really like, where language becomes something else. Apart from becoming a drawing, it becomes also it opens for me a field which is not opened by drawings or paintings or installations. It's something in between. And this in between is I did it for the first time 94, I guess, or 96 in Netwerk also. So I split the exhibition room in two parts and made one Point Blank Press, one Peter Morrens. So I split literally the place in two parts. Another thing which I created is Herman Smith, but maybe that brings us too far. It's also outside of the exhibition in the Warrande. I created in the hallway a small chair with some paintings as a leftover drawing guy. I don't. Okay. But maybe I think it's interesting to have some questions, no? Or you,
split, the idea of the split and the scattered is also good. bridge to just to reach out to other people and let them come in, and let if somebody has questions or would like to see something or just ask something in general, please feel free. Peter Basteels.
Yes, I do have a question. Well, it's more, I would like to know a little bit more on the fact that when I look at your work, and it's not only the work in the exhibition, but I have the feeling that you're showing things, but on the other hand, it's more important the things that are not shown. It's always the in-between, it's the encircling around it. I've heard now a little bit disguise. It gives you an effect of estrangement, even when you're writing the direct sentences. For example, in the series that you use about the words, you're writing it in a way that's like off page, so you hide a little bit the things that it's really about. So it's about walking around and not going into the center of things. And yeah, if you have the word, as you use your room that you were making the performances and the exhibitions, you call it voorkamer, which is the room in front of the actual room. So it's always about what's next and not what's it now.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's very good analysis. I don't know exactly why. It's maybe escaping a little bit. It's also, I think it's dealing with, I guess, it's dealing also with the kind of erotics. It's dealing with that what is not totally shown. And I think if we could say that there is, you can have pornographic IDs, or you can have erotic IDs, and erotic IDs are hiding more things. And I think that's playing a lot with the idea of suggestion, the things which the viewer interprets, makes his interpretation. So if you say that's for the next thing, it's also, I put a lot of effort in giving stuff, ideas, spiritual work to the viewer. And that's maybe something with this in-between to deal. I'm not sure if I got your, or it's maybe not a question,
Yeah,
but I got you right. It's I think there's a big, let's say in art philosophy, there's for me something which I was always looking for, and that's the aesthetics, or the art philosophy of the viewer. We're mostly talking about the artists and the analysis of the artists and the artworks. Seldom we're talking about what the viewer does. And I think it's in the end, it's the viewer who makes the work, who finalizes the work, who gets it inside. And there has to be something, a kind of openness, I guess, or I don't guess, I know there's an openness and a kind of recognition with what you discover in your own life, or what you think of works which you saw, or experiences you see. We got our blueprint when we were somewhere between 0 and 6 approximately. I guess that's the biggest blueprint we got from all the other stuff we have afterwards. There's one American poet who writes, we got only one connection with reality. That's when we were child. All the rest is memory. And I find it great. That's really great. He says, like, okay, because the first experience we have only as we are as we were child. And later on, it became reminiscences or like thinking or about it. And so this idea of the in-between is something which is dealing with the viewpoint of the viewer, which the Japanese call the ma also, or what I understand as the ma, the in between. We got more, let's say, Western idea of dialectics. We got A, B, and we got then C. But for me, it doesn't fulfill my idea about it. It's more about oscillation. It's going from side A to B and B to A and A to B, and it's about this energy, which is for me important in my life, in my work, in my idea of thinking about art. So yeah, I don't know if it says something to you, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. I think it's about this dialogue that you're talking to, and even within the small things that the choices, for example, les mains négatives, where you were talking about there as well. It's the thing that is not shown that was there. And so that would be a very interesting path. So it's very nice for that one. I like it very much. Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the analysis also.
No problem.
Some other questions or remarks or I got the idea that it was very loaded now. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, it was funny because we started our conversation with the wish that we wanted to talk about the play.
Yeah.
And I still think play is sensible.
Yeah. Do we got some more or not?
We have more. This is it's
a small group.
It's 8:01, and this was the moment planned to start questions.
Okay.
So if any.
And anybody of you want to know something, because I heard that most of you are students, I guess. So maybe if you want to know something more, let's say about. That's what I say. Maybe I'm describing a lot the exhibition now and my work, but I don't know if you got maybe more practical questions, or I'm up to everything.
Hello.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, great.
And you say you trust your doubt and you work on your doubt.
Yeah.
But how you connect your doubt to your works? I mean, it's quite hard for me, like doubt myself, like doubt everything, doubt myself, and
it is.
I try to set a reference, and I doubt the reference I set. So people will become confused.
Yeah, but confusion is a great thing. Confusion is a great, powerful thing, where, of course, if you're dealing with confusion, then there is also the possibility that you get lost, but that's okay also. I think it's in our very straightforward society, which looks for straightforward answers. It's even for me revolutionary to have this ideas of doubt and despair despair. I think it's important that it becomes positive, that it's not the negative feeling of confusion. I don't know if you ever had this experience when you walk out the door and you say, I don't know where I'm going. I just go and I walk, and you follow from one street to another street, and that's what the situationisten called le dérive, the drifting. It's great what you discover then. It's much way back bigger than what you discover when you look at something at a point. Or for me, it's because it's an awareness which has really, for me, a kind of revolutionary power, because it brings you to places where you would never have been. And I think in this age, of course, with a lot of technical help and everybody gets GPS, and I know also exactly, so you cannot get lost. It's even more.
No, it's still very possible for me to get getting lost.
It's possible. It's possible. It's also with GPS. It's possible. But I think it's good to drift also in your work, to trust that you're coming, that you will come somewhere. That's maybe the only thing what I can say to young artists is like trust that there will come solution to, as long as you keep on working. That's important. You gotta have concentration and keep on working. There will come solutions for any kind of problem. I can give you an example. Last weekend I did a performance in the Warrande also, and or maybe it's not that example. Well, whatever. I thought there were stricter rules for the corona, and it was almost cancelled, the performance, and it was so heavy because I planned a performance which was written and planned less or more, but then came stricter rules, so we couldn't perform. I couldn't perform, so I had to make a parcours, a road through the Warrande. And if I would have said, oh shit, godverdomme, corona, and now I cannot perform, I will not perform. I'm because I don't like alternatives for it. Then I wouldn't have this. What I did now, I think I made a beautiful image with leftovers from the show there, with the empty theater place. I can look later on. I will do first the explanation, and that was so important that then suddenly there came playfully a place between the public and the place where normally I would have performed, and I split it because I had to split it, but I'm omarmde. Embraced it. I thought like, okay, this is not bad. Let's split it, and then came one point after the other. So it's very strange what peaks up then when you go along with this stuff. Or another example is I created there a waiting room with chairs where people had to sit. And there was a video from one of my installations, but it was filmed from top. So when I placed it on the wall, it was like a clock. And I would never have thought of it conceptually in my notebooks or something. It's just by doing it, by putting it on the wall, that there's this, wow, this works as a clock, and the waiting room will serve other stuff. And so there's a lot of things coming up. Another coincidence, I was doubting. I had like one film, 4 minutes, which was shown on a screen 6 meters high on, I don't know, like 8 meters width. And I had like 3 other texts which I could place on the image, which were text I would have normally used in the performance. When I look at the length, I see that it's exactly the same. The film and the text somebody recorded for me was exactly the same. It was never meant like that. And I say, okay, this is. I don't believe in God. I'm atheist, but I think this must something be from the gods if I would have believe or something, because it literally is the same length. So of course, for me, I said, okay, we bring them together, and then you had this enormous energy coming because the length is the same. Yeah, it's a little bit strange maybe to explain. Yeah, I don't know if I answered to your question or is it
Yes.
It's the trust in luck, the trust in unluck, the trust in coincidence, in and acting. For me, one of the most important thing, the act of doing. So you deliberately do something. You're not sitting on your desk and thinking about things. No, you're working, you're drawing, or you're cutting, or you're printing, or you're drawing, or you're coloring your wall, or I don't know, you're smashing your face, but there got to be something which is tactile and active.
That's the point. I'm a negative person. And maybe it's not the way for me.
change.
Yeah. It's
That's
I,
only one mindset, no?
yeah,
The
but
negative.
the point is it's come very slow.
Yeah.
I feel I always like waiting
Yeah.
and
But that's good. Waiting is good. But
yeah.
at certain
And
moments, don't wait.
and sometimes I even doubt my emotion, my feeling, and I think, oh, I must be sick. Then I ask my psychologist. He say, do you think you are sick? I say, I hope I'm sick. Otherwise, I'm just weak. And my psychologist said, no, I don't think you are sick. I said, oh, so I'm just weak.
But you
And
get this.
then I find it makes me quite positive suddenly.
Yeah.
I
But you get this beautiful tool, I guess, this beautiful weapon, which is art, to have something
killing me.
negative or positive or waiting, which is substrat, I don't know, which is subtracted, you call it like that, which is like, so it's this idea of the fetish is the matter which becomes then suddenly your waiting or your positive or negativity. You fill it in matter, in clay, in, I don't know, in drawing, or and it can go along. So in a way it's therapeutic, but it's not. Of course, art is not only therapeutic. It can work like that, but it's got to communicate also. Maybe there's something of in the book. I wrote a sentence by Georges Braque, the cubist, friend of Picasso, and he writes this beautiful. But yeah, maybe it's not about psychology. Whatever, I will tell it. He describes when I'm in a mountain. Former times, and I stop the car on a helling, on a slope. I put a stone behind the wheel that the car is not going down the mountain. And he says, I'm changing the nature of the stone. Je change la nature du pierre. The nature is changed from a stone, simple stone, to something functional, to a blockade, to something to block the car. And then he says, when I throw away the stone, it's got its former nature back. And this is so great. It for me, it's great. He compares it then to a composition of a painting, which for me is not so interesting. But his idea, like you change you even don't cut a stone, and you change just by giving another function, and when you throw it away, it becomes back a stone. What for me is interesting is I think that stone keeps the memory of that former function. It keeps maybe the idea. Of course, it's imaginary. This is our imagination which can hold it, which makes us surviving any kind of problem, I guess. Very, very abstract, no? I don't know. Do you see that? It's like the transformation is the most important thing, I guess. And that's maybe about this idea, what Peter says also about this in between. It's the transformation which goes and then maybe transforms him in something else, and then get another transformation, or maybe returns. I think that's also what changes when you got a piece of white paper and you put one line on it. You change it from a piece of paper to a drawing. Very simple. And you divide the paper in above and under, left and right, or if it's perspective, depth and foreground. But it's this transformative power which only human people has. Animals don't, or as long as I know, or as far as I know, animals don't have this power. We got it. That's what makes us different from animals. Of course, they got this instinct and they got a lot of things more than we got. And maybe if you believe in other stuff, it's totally okay. But we got this power to, we got the humans got the power to destruct everything themselves, everything, but they got also the power to create the biggest pieces of beauty. We created the Holocaust, we created Auschwitz, but we created also Het Lam Gods, the altarpiece in Ghent. We created beautiful corals. We created poems, but we created also big destruction. And I think this interaction is in our field, but it's that what we choose. So it's always a moralist, a moral question, of course, where you go for the good, where you go for the positive, where you go for the energy, let's say. I think that's for me erotics. That's also the idea to go against that, to go to bring life, literally, to give birth, but also to bring life and to have this stream of power, I guess, in our body. It's becoming very spiritual now, but
We had a question also.
yeah, okay.
Here's another hand.
Yeah, it's with the hand up. Yeah, okay. Shoot.
Hello, you
Hello.
hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, my name is Shirin. I had a question about at the beginning, you said something about solo exhibition. It's like showing the ego of the artist. So do you think that solo exhibition is selfish? A little bit.
No, selfish. No, I think it can be, but I just want to put it for myself. In my case, I find it important that I'm be generous towards other artists and artworks, and so I'm not only showing my work, I'm showing other people's work, but also older artists, or and I'm trying to communicate through my art, but also ik wil delen. I want to share. I want to share stuff, and it's my stuff. It's maybe also my selection. So it, of course, it's also ego. On the poster is in big Peter Morrens, and then you got in the book the names of the other artists. So I don't want to be too. Oh no, it's not about me. Of course, it's about me, but it's more than my ego or something. So selfish? No, I don't think art can be. Good art is never selfish, I guess. Art is dealing with sharing things. So it gives something. It puts things up. And there's this responsibility where we're talking about. You get a responsibility as an artist, but you get also responsibility as a viewer. It's my favorite quote by Marek Manders, where he says, an artwork is a piece of paper, a transparent piece of paper, hanging between the viewer and the maker to compare, he says. So it's not exactly the same, of course. When I make something, it's not that everything is clear and that somebody, when he look at my work, that he totally gets it or understand it or whatever. It's even not about understanding, I guess. It's about experiencing, and it's looking in yourself. So there lies also a big responsibility for viewers. And yeah, I think in these times, a lot of the things are very lazy in a way or something. So I really believe that art has a power also to change some things, maybe only small things, but change small bricks so the wall can be. That's like Francis Alice moving, if fate could move up mountains, so you shuffle with 500 people, and so that means that the mountain is a little bit moved. It's utopian, but I'm from that area, I guess. I always believed that art has a power and maybe in the beginning I thought like it was avant-garde, we were first or something, and that's not really what I mean. It's like there's a continuity. I think we didn't move so much further. I think the best artwork was 35,000, or it was already a great artwork 35,000 years ago. When you see at Glasgow, it's a masterpiece, which was created over maybe decades, maybe years by different people, and it was already working with the context. So and few people could make it, and few people could see it. So we got all the idea what we do now with art is this was there already in the caves. We go to a museum to look. We shut down when we go to a museum. It's a little bit a kind of spiritual experience. We're not yelling or. That's maybe a reference what was in the exhibition. Verboden, kinderen verboden te, and it's for me it's a kind of clin d'œil. How you say it? Like a wink to Ad Reinhardt, who said, "I don't want children in museums because they're not ready yet, and they're disturbing the stuff, and they're yelling." And so of course Ad Reinhardt had this very high thing, painting only black on black paintings, on the same time making cartoons about artwork, and that's not so known, and that's great. I found that you think like, okay, it's like Mark Rothko or whatever, one of those big abstract expressionists, and then he made cartoons where he makes fun of all the art world. So both sides, no? Is that an answer?
It was more than what I was expecting. Yeah. And I also really like the what you said about doubt, because I think that it's a little bit like you say, it's showing the flexibility of art also, how it can embrace and it be flexible and open new ways we didn't even expect, a little bit like life, like exactly like life.
Yeah. That's yeah, thank you. I think it's important.
Maybe also this collaboration, if I hear the word opening, that's exactly maybe how I also feel about it. It's creating openings out of yourself. Maybe the collaboration is opening up.
Yeah.
Maybe even to escape again. Start drifting.
To start again, when you collaborate, there's there's the other, of course, where in our studio, when we don't collaborate, it's ourselves. But if you collaborate with somebody, then the other one opens up your more. I wrote a beautiful, I don't have it here. You gotta read it. I just bought it. I only read a couple of pages by Francis Smets, and he's a philosopher. And he ends with a poem where he says, the only way as to enter is by the other, because the other has the key to you. Of course, it's a little bit tricky. It's not really like that, but I like this poetical pointing at things that, for sure, as artists, we need a public. We need that somebody sees it. We need that somebody reads it. We need that somebody experiences it. And I think it's a good exercise when you work together. I don't know, as artists, as young artists also, because then it goes very fast. All the decisions are fast and up, or much more open, I guess. That's what you mean with holes, or yeah.
Or escape routes also, maybe, or escape.
Yeah,
it's the wrong word, but it,
yeah, escape route feels a little bit as negative for me, and I think it's a new way or something. So I'm walking on the street, and if somebody walks with me and I'm drifting, and the other says, okay, let's go here, I say, oh, maybe not. But if I'm alone, I got to go over all this thinking. Should I go left? Should I go right? I call it the mogelijkheden machine. That's great. That's incredible. As an artist, you know, the possibility machine. It keeps on turning, because you can go there and there, and you can draw, you can paint, you can fill it up, you can erase it. How should I make it? And at a certain moment, it's like, cut. You gotta cut it. because he said, okay, I'm taking this road. And if you collaborate, the other can say that sometimes. I really like it.
I should say possibility instead of escape.
Yeah. That's maybe something. Should we talk about our collaboration, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know about the time.
Maybe it's okay. I don't know with how much are we? Do I see the
remember
people, like the 5
11.
people, or is there more people
Yes,
to?
11.
Okay.
So if somebody has a
Somebody
question
else,
still,
maybe first. Do you want to know something or discuss, or I don't know what speaks up at this moment? I wanted to play and to
you can still- maybe it's good to end with
to show. I don't see.
to end with,
I don't know. It feels now a little bit because what I like. Maybe can I have this image? Yeah, what I like when I'm looking at the Zoom, when I'm studying or when I'm talking with my students, I like this. Like where is the area where I'm filmed? So it means like, okay, yeah, I'm here, and then I can go further. And should I make it like this? So it's all this strange, the technology gives you the possibility to do strange things, which mostly we don't do. I think technique is a very good stuff to open up things. So it's very strange. You can never experience this kind of things in reality. And of course, I'm frustrated these days because I think art and my discussions has to do with bodies. It's bodies who are moving in rooms, and but in a way, they're working. So when I see an artwork, I want to see it in reality. I want to see even a film projection. I want to have my the sounds. I want to hear somebody who's calling. I want to see other viewers. So it's a very physical experience. And I think we're due to internet and everything, we're in the possibility to have a lot of connection on another way, but we're losing parts of it where we got a direct connection. You can say that's negative. I had a student or a colleague of me said to one student, I think you got to look more at painting. And she said to him, I'm looking every evening to painting. And she literally didn't have the point that the lecturer wanted to say. You got to look more to real painting in reality to feel the skin. And she said, I look at painting because I'm going through images of painting. I think we need one other generation, and people don't understand maybe even what I'm talking about because everything can be virtual. Okay, I can be very negative about this. And sometimes I feel pissed. I really feel pissed. But I think it's also a possibility we never thought that we would have been together in a lecture 1 year and a half ago. Zoom didn't exist. And now we're connected. So it gives these new possibilities. And this is what interests me to play along. I thought that's for the next time, to play with a screen in between me and the camera, where I can ride upon. So you got literally what you said, Peter, also this in between again. So that, yeah, I didn't thought about that, but that was literally what I was planned. But I didn't have, I was a little bit sick, and my girlfriend had a surgery and everything, so it was a little bit overwhelming this time. But this is where I'm starting working with when I'm performing, also with the borders of things, literally the borders, but also to cross borders, to go transgressive, to go beyond the borders, and also sometimes to provoke people and to provocate ideas or something. So that's also a possibility of the art, and I think art is becoming very, very subtle and very or it's sometimes research based, too much research based. I don't know if art is research anyhow. On the other side, or we're becoming too decorative. it's this in between which interests me. It's maybe a kind of research. I'm not sure. I don't think my work is research. My work is play. But I think we can use it with the stuff where decorative art also works with. That means with sensuality, with colors, with texture, with distance, with grains, with a lot of other stuff. But I think it needs. If art is not existential for me, it's not interesting. It's there's got to be an existential essence, although difficult world. But then we need another couple of hours. But the existential, if it's not, then it becomes a decoration for me, and I feel I'm skeptical about recent changes in the art world towards a very decorative, illustrative kind of painting and drawing, which makes that people get lazy, that you don't have to think about it. It's again this thing where I fight it 30 years ago, like, oh, it's nice above my sofa, this work. Do you got maybe one in blue also? Because the orange I don't like, or it's like, oh, screw you. I don't make my work to hang above your sofa. That's one of my point blanks. My highest goal is not to hang above your sofa. My highest goal is to move you, to change you, to free you maybe a little bit, or to love you maybe also for a while. And then the next step comes in or something.
I think that is very beautiful.
Okay, that's maybe a nice, unless there is other questions.
If there's another question, I think we can maybe say again, yeah, goodbye, and hope to see you again in the real world.
Yeah, in the real world. So my exhibition is until 9th of May. That's maybe in the Warrande. There's a small booklet which you don't have to use in the exhibition. And I had a wonderful experience yesterday. I received a critic from Jeroen Laurens in Hart, in the newspaper, in the magazine, which is, I never had an experience of somebody who touches me so closely in his critique, who really, I wrote to him, I never felt so begrepen, so understood in a art critique as in yours. He literally looks very good, and he analyzes it, and then he writes it very good. And he wrote me, it's due to you, because I was so overwhelmed and so touched by your exhibition that I want to have the same accuracy, that I want to follow you and put a lot of effort in writing a good text. So that's where we need each other. That's where we make this connection also, and where we don't have to stand against each other or something. It's like, yeah, it's the interpretation and the work itself and the viewer, and there is this meeting place called life.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you
so much
for your attention. It was quite a journey, no? But hope to see you once in real, and there follows some stuff also in Antwerp. I'm doing next year an exhibition, and there comes a new publication also, partly based on the exhibition. I didn't talk about that. I really like the idea of graphics. That's where my interest in graphics lies. I studied also graphics in books and postcards and reproductions, and spreading on a democratic level, on a democratic manner, on a cheap manner, works. Okay,
next time.
That's for next time. Okay, see you.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for the attention.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.